Evening and welcome to another edition of the Magpie Circle. Sorry for the slightly late start. Slow starters like Notts and Cambridge for that matter on Saturday. But we are here now and it's FA Cup week. How excited are you about the trip to Brackley? Just literally moments ago found out that Stell is a former teammate of Brackley's manager Gavin Cowan. So he can give us the lowdown on that. How important is it for you? I think the stat, if I can remember it correctly, is we've only gone beyond the second round of the FA Cup once in the last 12 attempts. That was when we got through to Swansea with a replay and were edged out in a 9-goal thriller. Unfortunately, Swansea got 8 of them. And behind me is actually, believe it or not, they're all FA Cup shirts. Terry Hawkridge's match-worn shirt from that night. It had different numbers on it. And the most surprising thing about that shirt is there is actually a bit of mud on it. So I don't know if Terry got pushed over in a rare moment of Notts possession or not. So how important is the FA Cup to you? League-wise, in the playoffs, top 5. Happy with that. Thoughts and views. A case at the moment. Results, not performances. Not a great first 45, but got the job done. 4 league home wins, 12 points out of 12 on the bounce. Slight concern for Rod McDonald, but Lucas Ness came in and did a great job. Not quite as good as Cal Roos. He got man of the match. Yes, look, he kept a clean sheet, and I think Stellar's just given me the stat: 3 clean sheets in 8 games. Thanks also to all members of the flock that came along for a great night with Radi Avramovic on Friday. Been speaking with Radi earlier today. He and his wife Bratislava return back to Serbia tomorrow. Lifelong Notts fan Phil Lafbury is chauffeuring them down. Crack of dawn tomorrow morning. Wanted to pass on his thanks for everyone's kind words, support, turning out on Friday, and going along to the game on Saturday, where he was something of a good luck charm. Okay, anything else that you want to discuss as well? Stell, we might as well dive first into Brackley on the basis I only just found this out. So, what are we going to expect from Brackley, and what do we know about their manager, a former teammate of yours from the days at Shrewsbury?
Yeah, I mean, I must admit, I didn't realise that must have passed me by. They got promoted, didn't they, to the National League last season?
Yeah.
But it must have passed me by. I didn't realise he was manager down there. So he's obviously done a decent job. Yeah, he was a centre half at Shrewsbury when I was there 21 years ago, something like that. And nice fella, really good lad. But he's obviously done all right down there. I know that they're struggling a little bit this season, but maybe they've overachieved in getting into the National League. So we don't know what to expect. I can't give you any more insight than that, to be honest, because I haven't spoke to him in 20 years. He's not one I've kept in touch with, but he's a good lad, good guy, and good. Pleased to see him doing well, but obviously don't want to see him do too well on Saturday. But yeah, they've. The only thing we know is that, well, I know from the stats is that they struggle to score goals, despite winning the replay by scoring 6 goals against Woking. They've only scored 10 league goals in 15 league matches in the National League. So you would say perhaps not the most potent going forward. That said, they've only conceded 15 in 15 games. So tight, maybe, organised, defensively strong. We shall see. But as ever, it's a good cup tie, and it's going to be on the telly on the BBC, and people will have a chance to see us. And Notts have got a chance to progress to that second round, which is, like we say, been few and far between in recent years.
He's a centre half style. He's going to keep it tight at the back, isn't he?
Well,
Ball
exactly.
from
That's
the
it. I
back.
mean, exactly. As much as me as an ex-striker, I was giving Lucas Ness. You mentioned that I gave him some praise at the weekend on the radio, and I says it's few and far between how often I give defenders praise. So yeah, he was a defender, so maybe no surprise that they're tight at the back and not particularly expansive going forward. But they scored 6 against Woking, so they have that capability maybe on the right occasion. So let's hope Saturday isn't that occasion and not get the job done.
Yes, he's done well as Ness. I don't know whether Alzheimer's is setting in. I do have a problem with names sometimes, and I always want to call him Elliot Ness. And I did in the vlog. I did in the vlog on Saturday after the game, which obviously got picked up, But I would say, Stan, it was quite an untouchable performance, wasn't it?
Oh, very good, very good. Yeah. Ah, dear.
Let's just get a few messages before we dive a bit more into FA Cup. Any thoughts of previous games that you've been to with cup ties? We spoke on a previous show. It's good to see a lot of interest in this game. Although there are still tickets left. Or there were when I checked on the Notts Club website about half an hour ago. I know they had a glitch with Ticketmaster system for a few days, but there are still tickets available. We've got 1,000 for those of us who want to go along on the day. David Dawes, Spotter's Badge, first on tonight. Nice to see us win when a bit below par. Hope we put a full strength side out on Saturday. Jonathan Hammocks again. Hello, it's Jonathan. Just the one nurse this week came storming into my room to see if I was okay when we scored our first. I guess that's NHS cutbacks. Jonathan retains a good sense of humour. Jonathan Part 2. Patterson has instilled a real grit and discipline. I think we would have gone up last season with the same pragmatism and application. Jonathan, oh no, hang on, a few more have got in before we have Jonathan's part 3 and 4. Jurgen Halligan, just a few tweaks for me on Saturday at Brackley. Bennett's, Kuyar and Iapenda to start. Richard Terry, greetings from Woodborough. 2 points off the top. Who'd have thought that? We thoroughly enjoyed Saturday's performance. Fingers crossed we're eventually starting to get there. Bud Chatwin, awesome few results recently. I'm not getting carried away though. Look at Gillingham, 9 games unbeaten at the start of the season and haven't won in the last 5. I do remember Stowe pointing that out and saying they tend to start very well and then taper away. Well, that tapering already seems to have started. Here's Jonathan, part 3. Shame I couldn't be at the Radi Avramovic evening, but a massive shout out to Greza Maxwell for his gesture and Radi. Proper touched my heart. Yes, Greza, member of the flock, got a pair of goalkeeping gloves. I got them in front of Radi after the show and he signed them. And so we'll be getting those pair of signed Radi gloves on the way to Jonathan. But Chatwin, Jatta should have had man of the match for his defending alone. He ran up and down the pitch all day long and scored 2 good goals to boot. Jonathan, part 4. I think this is the last one. Just want to say thanks to Mark for stumbling on his catchphrase, get in. I repeat it out loud. How did you stumble across it, Mark? I would like to ask. Great show, lads. Thank you. Where does the get in come from, Stel? Is there?
Do you know what? I've been asked this before, and I genuinely don't really know. I genuinely don't really know because obviously it's all. I think it started like involuntarily. I don't really know where it came from. I've got a feeling something in the back of my mind. There was a game, or we were struggling for connectivity, and that we get the gremlins sometimes at certain grounds, and I think it started in non-league possibly, and I just thought we were struggling to be heard, or that we were getting. Obviously, we have headphones on and we can hear the studio, and they're telling us when we've dropped out or whatever. And I just think not scored either just after we came on air, or we'd had a break, we'd gone down or whatever. And I don't know why. It just happened to think, oh, if I sort of exclaim something, then people listening will know we've scored before maybe whoever's commentating. It might be Charlie, might have been whoever. I don't know who it was. It's just an immediate, in case we go off while they're describing it, people know we've scored. But I don't know. I might have invented that myself. I don't know. I genuinely don't know where it's come from, but it's stuck. And like I say, and we got promoted that season as well. So I can't get rid of it now, can I? That's it. I've got to keep doing it. But it's fine. Yeah, like I say, not a problem. But I don't know where it originated from.
Okay. Nottingham Thistle probably got some Caledonian roots somewhere. Next league game is Cheltenham. Steve Cottrell worries me. Been there a month, picking up 10 to 12 points, galvanising them in a way a man who has won 4 promotions does. That game will be a challenge. Cheltenham's kind of where it all started for Steve as well. I think he played and managed there. Richard Terry, great to see Radi Avramovic. Remember him living over the hill from me in Kelverton. Also thoroughly enjoyed watching the Notts versus Forest clips on the evening, just like all our yesterdays. McCulloch was always like a whirling dervish. Fantastic. Ian Cooksey, can you ask Stell who Notts were playing on Saturday? Was it Luton or Cambridge? I don't know if you, well, me with Elliot Ness and Lucas Ness and
I kept referring to them in the first half. I kept referring to them as Luton, and I caught myself doing it. And I do know why I was doing it. It's because Kelly Rudder-Kempanzu playing in midfield for them. I'm so used to commentating on him and associating him with Luton that I did it about 3 or 4, maybe 3 or 4 occasions. Might have been more than that, but I was trying to catch myself not doing it. But that's the reason. But when you've got something stuck in your head and can't get it out, oh dear. Say that the first half was forgettable anyway on Saturday, wasn't it? Instantly forgettable. So we won't go back to that. I got it down by the second half, I think. But it was one of them days in the first half. Everything went wrong.
Hey, Cooksey, we'll get you doing a show, and me and Stel will critique it. Okay. Let's see how you get on. Nigel Bosworth. We're starting to build something good now. Come on, you pies. Donny Pie. Cambridge made it tough. Tremendous team spirit, great attacking substitutions, a fantastic win. Well done, Martin Patterson. You deserve all the praise. Maybe a little smile from you sometime. Paul Cuthbert, despite a poor first half, never in any real danger. Second half, a different matter. It was a matter of time, and AJ did the business. Good subs made by Pato and great use of the squad. We really are looking good. Paul Mantle, this will make you smile, Stel. Evening from Blackpool. I'm still buzzing from another 3 points, and I think I've just seen Stel in Weatherspoons with a Guinness.
I was having the real stuff in Dublin the other week. I'm sure Weatherspoons Guinness doesn't match up.
Ian Hayward, evening all, sign of something special happening with the team, but it's too early to top the league. How Rue's got man of the match, I'm not really sure. I would have given it to Jatta, me too. Bennett's for Cerula on Saturday when it comes to making any changes. Evening from Ray Newton, great result at the weekend. Black Sox, or I don't know, I'll call you Chicago, those of you who baseball and ice hockey. Hi all, is it time to stop all the time wasting in games that becomes more and more prevalent by using the same system as rugby, 40-minute half, and stop the clock when the ball is out of play? Evening from Richard Elvian, Pythagorean, Stephen Newton, Karen Knight, Duncan Comrie and Kay. Royston, evening to the flock. I think the opposition are beginning to get a little scared of playing us now, not like last season. Evening from Richard Hawksworth. Stephen Newton, not quite sure who the adjudicator was for man of the match. For me, it should have gone to Matty Palmer. Adi Clark bumped into Adi at the end of the game. Ground out an excellent win. My little girl said after that, you look different in real life. Better or worse? In fact, don't answer that. Not sure if she meant you look younger or older on the podcast. Robert Minister, good morning. Good morning, or ice in Australia. Nice to be able to interact with you all again. Very pleasing the way we have turned the corner since the start of the season. And it's very refreshing in the way our coaching team is on part 2, but someone else is coming in between. Rare Productions. Good cup run will pay for January recruitment. Strong team, please, on Saturday in Martin Patterson. We trust. Robert Greensmith, our squad is so much stronger this season. Not sure. Substitutes are making a real impact on the game, unlike the last few seasons. Ness, brackets Lucas or Elliot, was outstanding on Saturday. Bud Chatwin still can carry on commentating after the Cambridge match. Even from Paul Hewitt, Joe Cotty couldn't get to the game. It was Dad who sent me the text updates as the match progressed. I was in the middle of port tasting in Porto when the first get-in came. I celebrated the second with a nice vintage port. There you go, Joe. Trust you enjoyed the port in Porto. And Robert Minister comes back part two. The way Martin has us playing, and in all honesty, how Martin deals with the media, really impressed. He doesn't sugarcoat it. Tim watching Saturday's matches. The long throw appears to be the new useful weapon. Oh, for another Andy leg. It's amazing when someone takes a long throw in the Premier League, it's a fantastic weapon. It's great. And Thomas Frank scores those set pieces. Was it Van der Ven? The two goals are on
yesterday.
And like you watch them and they wax lyrical about overseas attention to detail, great delivery. And a year or two ago we were like giving it we dominated the game, 89% possession. The opposition scored from two set pieces. It was like derogatorily. I do detect a bit of a shift now, Stel, in approach to the game. And Arsenal have this set piece coach. Arsenal score from a set piece. It's wonderful. I think it's shifting again. I think it's shifting.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's natural. I think if you look over however many generations and decades of football, it changes and it's going to, when you think about it, the stats come out this year. There's is the highest percentage of set piece goals in the Premier League, and more long throws than previous seasons, and things like that. That okay, the bar is being changed because everybody's got umpteen amounts of data and stats and this, that, and the other. And you go, well, the game has been, possession based for a number of years, obviously. And it was only a matter of time before somebody goes, well, hold on, what is the way to combat that? What is the way to go around that, to beat that other teams aren't expecting, that we're not predictable? And you would say almost naturally teams go to, well, let's be a little bit more direct. It's the same thing. There's been a bit of a feature about kickoffs, isn't it? Teams kicking off and putting it straight out of play, like kicking for touch. That goes completely against the theory of having possession, doesn't it? So what's changed? Something's changed. Some data maybe has come to light, and well, in our territory, we've got more chance of scoring if we defend, if you like, a throw in, but 10 yards from their corner flagging. And it'll be based on theories and data and stuff like that. But I think there is a natural evolution in the game. If you always do the same thing, it will then become predictable and you can play against it. You've got to keep evolving. You've got to keep slightly changing things. And eventually, over time, then them slight changes become quite a bit of a sea change and the game looks a little bit different. And I don't think fans will be complaining about it, because I got a feeling that the possession style of football, and not at their level, we've been playing it for a few years, haven't they? Maybe not, well, certainly not so much this year, but they do try and still pass the ball in the right way. But you've got the feeling that fans, not just Notts fans, but around football, we're getting a bit bored with it. It's a bit samey, it's a bit predictable. It doesn't really allow for too much individual quality for the Mavericks, if you like. And I'm not saying, the change is going to bring them to the fore, but I do detect it's changing, and there are obviously reasons for it. But you're right. I think the game has changed, and I think Notts this season under Martin, I think it's not so focused on possession, but we're not become a long ball team by any stretch. There is that middle ground. There is treading that path in between. If you're not possession or you're long ball, you're direct. No, it's about, again, no matter what it is, it's about decision making, it's about quality, it's about doing the right thing well enough at the right time. And, the teams that do it best, whether they play 10,000 passes or whether it's one direct ball or a long throw, whatever, the teams that are most effective and have the most quality at it are generally the more successful teams.
Yeah, and just squaring that away, I can remember, you're talking about kicking the ball into touch from the kickoff. Wimbledon used to pioneer that, years ago. And then I think it subsequently transpired there were Far Eastern betting syndicates, weren't there, about how often, how quickly it would be for the first throw and things like that.
Well,
And
I
I
don't know
remember
when.
Wimbledon doing that, and there was an art to it, wasn't there? Curling that ball 5 yards from the corner flag, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely.
Pinning
But
the opposition straight away in their final third.
yeah, absolutely. But I don't know whether I've told the story on here before, and it might be a bit of an urban myth that's gone through football. But apparently, when spread betting, you remember spread betting back in the
Yes,
sort of
yes,
90s when that was a thing, and I didn't know about it. I mean, you sort of bet against or the likelihood of something happening at a certain time or whatever it was. But anyway, there was allegedly, obviously, I think I've probably got to still use that, but a
yeah,
game was set up whereby you could bet on the time of the first throw-in.
yeah,
And it was, I don't know what it was, 10 seconds, 15 seconds, whatever it was. And obviously, players had got together, again, allegedly, urban myth it might be, but had got together, both teams. Players had got in contact with. There's a lot of money gone on this, riding on it, and it was agreed that one team was whoever won the toss back, then you could choose ends or have kickoff.
yeah,
So, right, we want kickoff. We're going to put the touch straight out of play.
yeah.
And apparently, all the players had lumped on it quite a decent amount of money at the time. It got touched, it got rolled, and whoever it was trying to put it out scuffed it completely all along the ground, didn't reach more than 10 yards near the touchline. And then everybody else was like panicking that's in it, thinking, how are we going to get this ball out of play without it looking dodgy? And apparently they lost a shed load of money. Now, again, no names, no pack drill on any details of that, but that is a story that does its round, and from, I would say, early 90s, that is. But yeah, I mean, that is it. But you're talking about putting the ball out of play. It goes completely against
Yeah, exactly.
possession-based football, doesn't it? You think, well, and is that progress? Is it people go, well, that's a bit more retrograde step, isn't it? It's going backwards. But yeah, like I say, it's whatever's popular, isn't it? Things change. Whatever's in fashion. Let's do this. Let's do something different. And that's it. They're always looking to change, looking to improve, looking to evolve. And sometimes it's taking a cue from the past and doing it with a modern spin. So we'll see. I know Notts did it in one game, I think, didn't they, this season? Just put
Yeah,
the ball out of
yeah.
play from the
I
centre, and you
remember. Yeah,
think I'd love to know the rationale with it, but they've not done it in league games, and so they've done it once and not another. So I don't know what the rationale. It doesn't look great, I must admit. It does it. It's basically giving the ball away, but yeah, I don't know. But obviously there's some stats and data picked up on. Yeah, set pieces are as important as they ever have been, and maybe there's more focus on them now, as opposed to it's all about possession. Possession doesn't necessarily win you the game.
and just going off that corner, short corners. I remember Barcelona, when Messi was in his pomp at Barca, and we're probably going 10, 15 years ago. They every corner was a short corner, and they would never put the ball into the box. It was always a short corner, and I think that was more or less the start of, we don't put the ball into the box, yeah, because we might lose possession. Well, and that's what Barcelona did. Other clubs followed, and yet we're now looking Premier League, and it will filter through. A lot more art has gone into corners. Best corner of the weekend, Stell, was.
Well, go on. I've not seen much of the Premier League
Got to be that
footage.
Bournemouth corner. Got to be that
Oh, I've not
Bournemouth
seen it.
corner.
Not
Oh yes,
seen it.
oh, yeah.
No,
Bournemouth.
I'll have to have a look.
It helps they were playing Nottingham Forest, and the guy's gone. He's gone to score direct. The old George Best. Yeah,
I've heard he scored direct from a
yeah.
corner.
He
Yeah.
scored direct. Yeah, that was the best corner of the weekend.
Right. Well, I was going
Yeah,
to say.
scored direct. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Fair
So
enough.
it
Did he
was,
mean
it
it?
was not.
Not that we care. It's gone in. Yeah, it's gone in. But yeah.
But there's
Ah,
not fun. How much criticism was there when Matty Palmer would take short corners and things, 2 or 3 years ago?
I think, to be fair, Paul, he wasn't taking it short to Lionel Messi, though, was he? That's the difference. There is a bit of a change. And I mean, again, you go back. You're talking about Barcelona. That would be the time they'd have had Neymar, Suarez, Messi.
Exactly.
You're not going to
Exactly.
put it in the mixer, are you? When you've got them players, you're going to want it at their feet and causing problems. But I do think a catalyst for this has been the likes of an Erling Haaland at Man City,
Yeah.
big 6'4" centre forward, physical, who can score goals. And I think again, it comes down to not everybody can play Barcelona way or Pep Guardiola way, whatever you want to
Exactly.
call it, because it doesn't suit the assets that you've got, the players that you've got. So if you want to do something different, you want to go right, we're going to be physical. And again, to bring it back more to a level we're all a bit more knowledgeable about it. Knots. Think about Wimbledon in the playoffs last year.
Yeah.
You know, over two games, felt like it bullied us a little bit. You know, we might have played the possession football at times, but felt like we got bullied, out strength, out muscled, men against boys, particularly in that second leg kind of thing. And I think, again, to give credit to the club and the people involved, I think they've took that on board of the seasons where we've had total possession and all that pretty football, if you like it, if you want to call it that. They've took that on board and go, yeah, maybe we need to add some grit and some steel to that and not completely go away from it, but add that sort of stuff, that sturdiness. And I think that is absolutely the biggest credit you can give to Martin, to the coaches, to the sort of recruitment side of things. Albeit in Saturday's team, I think there were only two names that were recruited in the summer in the
Yeah.
starting 11. So a lot of the players, the majority of the players were here anyway. But they could obviously play this way. They can play with that grit and that steel and what have you. So absolute credit to the club and the people involved to go, right, it's not just about possession. And as Martin's phrase, that to use it and to coin it, and why wouldn't you? Possession with purpose. And like I say, we
Mhm.
had possession in the first half. We didn't do much with it. But what they do well is they stay in games when they're not playing brilliantly well. That they're always in it, and it can only take a moment or two moments, as it was on Saturday, because for the first 55 minutes, it never looked like there was a goal anywhere in the game. Pretty much, not neither for Cambridge or Luton, should I say? But no, neither for Cambridge or Notts. Um, and I said it on the radio afterwards. And what I noticed, and you can hear, is I think the fans on Saturday took a bit of credit from Notts'
Mhm.
perspective, because after that first half being as dull as watching paint dry, they could have switched off from the game. They could have, disengaged with it. You could have seen the camera light, the mobile phone lights coming on and all that sort of thing to entertain themselves. But they didn't. And I think it was about 10 minutes into the second half, you could hear a bit of a song breaking out at the wheelbarrow or whatever it was from the Notts fans, because they sense that, oh, we're just not there today. It's just not happening. And they tried to give the team a lift and tried to lift them rather than, they could have gone away and go, started moaning, oh, you're not entertaining us, whatever. But they didn't. They got behind the team. And whether that was the catalyst, you never know. But it was vital in terms of the game. And Notts did respond and got better in that second half, obviously, and got the job done. But sometimes you have games like that where, for whatever reason, it was just pedestrian, slow. And let's not forget, they've come off the back of two away games in that week as well, tough
Yeah.
away games as well. So, there's maybe a reason for that. But again, the credit for Martin and the coaches and the players are that they stayed in the game. There was nothing happening in the game, but they stayed in it and they got 3 points. And as me and you have said, and I'm sure most people agree with, the bottom line is it is all about that result and the 3 points. And they got it. They got a clean sheet. So fourth in eight, that is, just to clarify that stat. But yeah, things are moving in the right direction. No team in this division has taken more points in the last 11 games than Notts. So
Love
top of the
it,
form
Sal.
table.
Love it.
You're welcome.
Oh.
But yeah, things are going in the right direction.
Excellent. Let's dive into the message boards. Lots of messages tonight. Evening from Lippy Jane K. Please, if anyone can tell the guy on the PA to not put such loud music on after the final whistle, it drowns out our applause for the players. Paul Mantle, all positive at the Lane. But at this time last season, we were 2 points better off and sitting third. Finn, evening from Billund in Denmark. We'll be back for Brackley. FA Cup charge. Wembley incoming. Mark Williams. Great performance and result again Saturday. Very impressed by the manager so far. And as a team at the moment, we look tough to play against and plenty of goal threat with, with Dennis coming back as well. Lippy Jane agrees with regards the noise of the PA system. Paul Cuthbert, good chance to spread minutes around the squad on Saturday, but don't take liberties. Need to be in the second round. A good cup run would do us good. Julie Howe. Julie says, brilliant night on Friday, Paul. Loved it from start to finish, followed by a brilliant result on Saturday. Evening all from Chef Dave TikTok. He's the personal chef, Stel. He's the personal chef. Yeah. Offers still there if Stel fancies a Sunday roast for him and his family. There you go. You can say to your good lady, I'm going to rustle up a cordon bleu roast. You just have a wine, sit back. I'll do it all.
I mean, she'll know I'm lying. Yeah, she'll know I'm lying if she don't hear the microwave ping. So yeah, but yeah, absolutely, yeah, free food, absolutely. What's not to like?
Drop me a message separately, Chef Dave. Dave Hartshorn, evening, Paul, Stell and the flock. Let's have a good FA Cup this season. Progress in the league is steady. Nice to see a big away crowd for a change last week. Yeah, I was surprised. Someone told me beforehand that Cambridge were bringing about 1,400. Good. Makes for a much better afternoon as far as I'm concerned, with the 2,000 that came the previous away game with Oldham. Colin Metcalf, Martin Patterson is doing wonders with the squad, which in my view, this is an interesting point, is overperforming. This is unsustainable over the season, and a good January window will be vital. We'll come back to that, Colin, because I think you raised some very good points there, very good points that we should debate a little bit later in the programme. Donny Pie, biggest disappointment on Saturday. I didn't see any stewards do their exercises. I thought it was funny when some fans started jumping up and down and jogging on the spot.
What was that all about? Because again, when I'm doing the radio, we've got the cans on, the headphones on, so we don't quite hear. It's like you hear a muffled kind of version of everything. But yeah, when the stewards came rushing out, it's obviously like a safety exercise, was it, mid-game or something?
I think so. So when I used to be at Leicester, we all clubs have to do one dummy emergency exercise during the game. Yeah.
Right.
So stewards move around, go to certain positions in the event that there's an emergency. There's like a protocol. So you kind of have like a code, right, that gets announced over the tannoy. Now, when we were at Leicester, the code used to be, would the club carpenter report to reception? Well, of course, the club didn't have a carpenter, but it was a tad more subtle, right, than going, stewards, exercise. So as I understand this, that basically that is code, not very subtle code, that the stewards then all have to move into emergency positions, etc. Yeah, and this is all part of satisfying your safety certificate, etc.
Right. Okay. Well, I think anyway. me and Adam were sort of looking at each other, thinking, "What's happening? Somebody ran on the pitch and we've not seen it." As they've been, it's something that it was, quite took us aback a little bit, but Either way, that's the one for the season, then, is it? We want to see that again, hopefully.
No, we shouldn't. It's not exactly that subtle either, is it? Really, stewards exercise.
Yeah.
Yeah, a good spot, Donny Pie. I've never seen Jatta head as many balls as he did Saturday, says Adam Kent. Hopefully, won't be out with concussion protocols. Alan Cotty, my first ever Notts match attended was an FA Cup first round game in 1970. We're due a good cup run. Colin Metcalf, any news on the mysterious third kit, which we're supposedly getting in October? Probably in a big container in Felixstowe somewhere at the minute. Ian McQuillan, hiya Paul and Stell. Why couldn't Notts sponsor the COP rather than Hayden's stand? P.S. My son and daughter loved the posh tickets and meal on Saturday from the Lee Hughes night. Yes, they won the tickets. Glad you enjoyed it. Our pleasure. Thank you to the club for offering that hospitality. I'm sure we'll pick up on Hayden in a minute as well. Steve Silver. We had some fun with Steve. I think it's the same, one and the same. Steve was the guy that suffered the heart attack at Newport, double helicopter, 2 hours delay. So we got him on stage on Friday night still. I did
right.
Got him up, meet Raddy, I hope you realise you upset everyone by delaying everyone getting home and all that lot. What did Jimmy say to you when you got to the pearly gates? He sent me back down, says I've got to keep on watching Notts, So I had a bit of banter with him. So it was all really good. And Steve says, Pato puts strong team on for FA Cup. He's an honest man. Keep it tight at the back. Make sure we're in the second round. Glad to see Stell back from his 65th birthday celebrations. He didn't.
Glad Steve's all right as well.
Chris Gosling. In terms of team for Saturday, I'd start Dennis and Jatta against Brackley, as I'm sure we'll be up against another low block. 9 subs in, is that right? 9 subs in the FA Cup means we can have some youngsters on the bench to bring on if things are going to plan. Donny Pye, I will be watching on telly but listening to Stell on the radio. How far out of sync will it be? Right, plenty more. Let's just look ahead to Saturday, Stow. I think we've done the figures on this before. I think it's a minimum 100. It's 50 grand TV appearance fee Saturday. Something like 40 grand for winning, and then even if you went out in the second round as a loser, you still get about 30 grand. So I think I worked it out just by winning Saturday, 120 grand. Okay, it's a lot of money, and if you got through the second round, it's kind of like another 100 grand by the time you add the prize money in and everything. So these are substantial sums of money. One visit in 12 years to be on the second round. Some people might say we've not treated the competition with the respect it deserves. In terms of weakened teams, in terms of the way that we've gone out, the 3 howlers against Shrewsbury, oh dear me, that's a real comic cuts, isn't it? Last season against Peterborough, you and I disagree. How important in the context of this season is it for you? And what team are you putting out?
Right. Well, for me, it's the same as any season. It's important. You want a cup run. It brings in money. It brings in sort of publicity, particularly the early stages. Like I say, live TV on the BBC, free to air on at the weekend. That is a rarity in itself for Notts to be on there. So, chance of some publicity, chance of just getting a name out there. Like I say, the financial aspect of it as well is always welcome, and clubs will always look at that, of course. But you want a good run. You want to win football matches. You want to beat teams. It's a chance against a lower league opposition to beat them and to get into the next round. And like I say, that you never want to lose a game. You never want to lose a game. And you're absolutely right. There's various reasons why we've not had a gut run, including playing weakened teams. So I want to win the game, and I think you always have to look at the games in and around it. What's the build-up like? How many games have players had? Things like that. But for me, Saturday, with a full week up to it, with no midweek games, we've got the EFL Trophy game on the Tuesday against Man United. Now, that's a game where you make changes,
Yeah.
absolutely. But Saturday, for me, strongest team, whatever you deem that to be, strongest team to start with, and take it from there. Yes, there are 9 substitutes, so you can have the luxury of maybe, and I'm not saying this will happen, putting a couple of youngsters on the bench. But again, let's not bear in mind there are senior players, if you like, who aren't in the 18 at the minute. So
Yeah.
there'll be
Yeah.
a few senior players that'll be looking, hold on a minute, I want a place on the bench. So again, that's a decision that the club's got to make, and it's what is the policy in terms of these cup games. But yeah, strongest team for me, absolutely from the kickoff. Strongest team, go and win the game, whether that's in 90 minutes or not, whether it's on penalties, however, go and win the game. In an ideal world, and the game doesn't work like this, but I'm just saying, if we're 3 up after an hour, then
Yeah.
you can bring players off and rest them then if they've got the job done. But that's a
Yes.
big if, and that's not me disrespecting Brackley or disrespecting a competition, but absolutely strongest team. And if they don't get the job done, then substitutions as per normal, whatever. But no question for me, given the proximity of the games in and around it, the fact it's the EFL Trophy on the Tuesday, you deal with that. Then
Yeah.
that is secondary, that sort of thing. And that is a game for players who maybe not had the right sort of minutes, whatever. Obviously, if somebody's carrying a knock, that muddies the waters a little bit.
Yeah.
Rod McDonald's injury at the centre half with Matty Platt already out. We don't know sort of where he is exactly or how close he is to a return. So you've got Lucas Ness, who, like I say, gave him a special mention, and you've mentioned tonight, thought he was exceptional given the circumstances of not playing much football recently and coming on after 20 odd minutes into a game and was superb, I thought. So again, you maybe just have to manage that situation again, because we've not got too many who can go and play that central role naturally without disrupting things. But no, it's a easy answer really. Strongest team, go and get the job done, get in the next round. It isn't going to be easy. I say it's never going to be easy, because Brackley, this will be their cup final. We saw them score 6 against Woking in the last round, so they can get up for it. They'll be at home, good atmosphere, tight little ground, we imagine. So look, we know what the FA Cup's about, and at this level, you don't want to be the sort of giant killing, if you like, because although there's only a league difference in the standings of the teams, it's absolute David and Goliath, isn't it, in terms of size and history of club?
Yes. Yeah. But Chatwin, hopefully, Stell, this is quite a clever one. You'll remember on Saturday, we are Notts County and not Northampton Town. And that, of course, is a reference to a match of the day. And across all the BBC promotional channels, they were plugging their FA Cup first round televised tie for Brackley against Northampton Town.
I thought he was just reporting another thing I got wrong on the rest. Time for me to get locked away if I'm start calling us Northampton Town. Good grief.
Yeah, so it's catching Elliot Ness, Luton Town and Northampton Town. So me, and the BBC are all equally as guilty. A nice video by the club produced, says Dale Pikett, for Stell's birthday on Friday. Think you scored a hat-trick, did you, or something against Cambridge in the Jurassic period?
No, absolutely not. I only saw this on Saturday before the game. I didn't see it, obviously, on my social media appearances of fleeting. But I was killing time because Mansfield game was the early kickoff, so we were on later. So I was there playing time, and I saw they put it out. And no, it was 3 goals, but it was over the space of about 3 games. Not in one game.
Johnny Capewell takes a slightly different view on team selection. Really intrigued to see how strong Martin goes Saturday. Hope we see Jarvis, Cotter, El Joffrey, Traore, and Kuyar. That would be interesting. Wayne Wilkins. I tuned in on Saturday from Venice. Should have been looking out for the missus running the half marathon. I have bigger things to focus on, though. You pies. P.S. Raddy definitely chose MOM, man of the match. He didn't. I did have a little word with him. Afterwards. Tim Elsop, I think MOM on Saturday. Yes, a few different attempts at adjudicators. But he got 3 clean sheets in 8 games, as Stell said, and he was
four
milking it at
four
the
and
end,
8.
wasn't he? He was milking it at the end in front of the Cop. Elliot Nesh, tuning in from Canada. I reckon the squad can keep its quality, even with a bit of rotation. Hope to see Maz and Iapenda start. Got to say, I really do not want one of these banana skin ties. You know, I'm probably with you, Stowe. Treat it as a league game. Full team. You make it. Well, you're not allowed to make 11 changes, are you, for the Virtue Trophy? But however you do it, make 5 subs after 3 minutes of the game against Man U. I treat it like a league game for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and like I say, I know people say that, but Tuesday, the Man United, that's the game to put players in on the periphery, give them minutes or whatever. That's the game, not the FA Cup game, because like I say, let alone we all want to run in the cup. You can't take Brackley, you can't disrespect them in terms of making that many changes, and that's not to be derogatory to the players that are coming in. They're probably good enough to get the job done, but can you imagine the momentum stop if you make them changes? We get done, we get knocked out the cup, and everybody's up in arms, and all of a sudden the feeling around the club goes from being one of momentum building, confidence, everything looking rosy, to hold on a minute, what we just done? We're daft. We've shot ourselves in the foot, and all of a sudden it comes crashing down a little bit. So, no, absolutely, because the games aren't coming thick and fast over this next 2-week period. For me, I don't see any reason at all to not play your strongest team to start with.
Yeah, and let's be realistic. 95% of people in the country watching that game will be wanting Brackley to win. And the reason this game has been chosen is because it's a non-league team at home to a pretty big lower league club, giant killing act, all the rest of it, you know. So, you know, let's channel the worlds against us, full team, you know, and quell any potential issues early doors. John Parnham. He's a bit of a thespian, is John. Apologises for being late. He's just been at a writer's Zoom meeting. Apparently, he's now watching us stood at a bus stop. John did come over. Was it Coventry on the Neaton, I think, to the Raddy evening. So good to see you there. I agree about the PA music. Drowns out the atmosphere pre and post match, says Adam Kent. I might do a poll on socials and forward to the club. John Parnham on another podcast, I watched the question asked, should Martin Patterson be given the Manager of the Month award? Pretty sure he will be on a shortlist. Probably just as well they don't award it. If they awarded it Friday and we're then going in an FA Cup first round tie to Brackley, that's disaster written all over, hasn't it? But he'll obviously be a week or so away before any firm decision is taken on October. James says we were way too safe in the first half for me. The players would opt for the safe reverse pass as opposed to anything higher risk. Clearly, Martin addressed this at half time, and it brought us through the game. And I think also 2 strikers on the pitch at the same time, which I thought was, you know, a positive move. Dale Pikett, the Harrogate home game is international weekend. Looking at the fixtures, we would only lose Jody for that game. I'm not quite sure what is and isn't. Cheltenham's around then as well, isn't it? And I think if we get the 3 call-ups, that match wouldn't take place on the Monday, would be brought forward to the Saturday. So I'm guessing Harrogate must be the week after Dale. Paul Cuthbert, Martin was clearly getting very frustrated with the slow play in the first half. If the amount of arm waving and pointing was anything to go by, I think he's gradually getting his own way regards playing style. Stephen Newton, popularity of tactics depends on what works. Cox. Bud Chatwin, I saw Arthur Mann score 2 goals direct from a corner in one match. I cannot believe Don Masson allowed him to take one, let alone 2 corners. Unless, of course, Don wasn't playing that day, Bud. Essie Kent, Cambridge was solid first half, but once we got to half time, I said, don't worry, Pato will sort this out. ZO, squad depth a concern, question mark. We're starting to look thin at centre back if Rod out for a while and Platt not ready. Up front, where are Jarvis, Traore? Injured, or does Martin not fancy them? Thought the substitutions, says Ian Cooksey, were spot on Saturday, both in timing and personnel, which was a key factor in the result on Saturday. Richard Elvin, I'd play the strongest squad Saturday, keep momentum going with maybe some different squad members on the bench. Terry Taylor, yeah, nice to meet you in the nav and reminisce about Colic Woods from years ago. Yes, yeah, we both used to play a lot of football as kids. I wasn't so much into the bird nesting. Terry Taylor telling me how he used to disturb the woodpeckers in the trees. But anyway, that's a conversation. That was long into the night. That was about 11:30, I think, with me, my lad, and Jez Donovan, wasn't it? But yeah, lovely to meet you, Terry. What else? Paul Cuthbert, in response to Adam Kent, I had the privilege of playing the last post again on Saturday, and the ref certainly threw us a curveball. He only had to blow his whistle once, and he did it in the wrong place. Thought he did all right though in the 90 minutes. To be fair, Anthony Burrows, if people want signings, the club needs investment. They should name the Meadow Club after Hayden Green, and then everyone is happy. This is, I guess, a reference to the debate about selling the naming rights to an energy company who've become a platinum partner, which means Hayden Green no longer has his name at the front of the family stand. I'm a little bit concerned about Saturday, says Paul Topley, because we're on the beam against a non-league side. Remember Salford? Yeah, we're there Friday night. Yeah, not going to forget that one in a hurry. I agree, says James. Go strong Saturday and go reserves on Tuesday. Zedo, I agree with Stowe. We should rest players for the EFL trophy on Tuesday. Matty Platt is back on grass, says Richard Elvin, whatever that means. It's one of them new buzz phrases, isn't it, Richard? Do you know what I mean? Ian Cooksey, playing a weakened team will do the team talk for Brackley's manager. Shows a lack of respect. Paul Cuthbert, I spoke briefly with Matty on Saturday, possibly some time on the pitch in the Man U game. We shall see. Greza Maxwell, if it was 4-0 on Saturday, Gazali offered to take me. However, it's my wedding anniversary, so I'll have to miss it. You can't upset Mrs. Greza. I'm sure the players would relish the chance to play a Prem team, says Adam Kent, at the Lane if possible. Was the last one Manchester City? Not sure in the FA Cup. Donny Pye, I can't see Martin going weak against Brackley at all. He wants a win and he won't be happy with anything else. But Chatwin, Brackley haven't won in the last 5 games. Don't start quoting them figures, Bud. It might come back to bite us. Ian Haywood, and this gets us up to date with the message board. I picked up in Martin's presser after the game. He didn't like us passing backwards. Good, because I think it annoys most of us. Watch this space for change. Stel, 5th in the table, one of the form teams in the division. How are you assessing things? And I think the point that the poster raised, whose name I've already forgotten, is Martin extracting every last possible ounce at the minute? how much more is there in the tank for him to get out?
Oh, well, that's a difficult question to answer. It's certainly things have improved. Obviously, you'd say that start the form table last 11 games, no team in the division's got more points than Notts, so things have turned for the better. So everybody's performing better. You know, I, but it's difficult to quantify where the ceiling is on the ability, isn't it? Because
Yeah,
as somebody pointed out 10, 15 minutes ago, this time last season we were a couple of places higher and a couple more points. So, in terms of season on season performance,
I
you go,
also
well,
think we have better players still. I think we have better players in the
well,
starting 11.
but that's debatable, isn't it? Again,
Yeah,
that's up for
yeah,
the answer would be yes, we had 2 points better if that was the
yeah,
situation.
yeah,
So again, but what I do like about Martin is he obviously plays a lot of stuff down. He was trying to keep a lid on giving them too much praise Saturday,
yeah.
but he couldn't help but actually say I've got to back up, give him a well done at times and whatever. But what he is absolutely right about is nothing is won and decided in October or November or December. It's where you are in May that counts. And everything else is just speculation or, yeah, we're doing well till now. Again, you spoke about Gillingham, and when we mentioned about them starting brilliantly, top of the table last season when we played them early on in the season and then fell away. They've done the similar this season so far, but again,
Mm.
still early days. They could come again. And Walsall, top of the table. Now, it sort of seems like it's mirroring last season a little bit, this League Two. So who knows what's around the corner? But what you've got to say is not sort of improved massively. Are we as pretty on the eye? No, I don't think so in terms of the way we play. Are we more effective and gritty and steely? Possibly, yes. Certainly gritty and steely. I think we're certainly more of that than last season. Um, but again, we're fifth in the table. We aren't, we've improved massively. We are improving and we have improved and we've got to keep it going. But we're not sat top of the table, so we can't give ourselves a pat on the back. Martin Patton isn't going to stop and go, well, what a great job I've done since, the start of the season when first 3 games we picked up a point. You know, you've got to keep moving. You've got to keep working. And again, not to get ahead of ourselves, we can, but the players won't. We've got, a tough month in November, but look at December's fixtures based on the league table now. 5 fixtures, all teams in the top 7.
Yeah.
So there's tough games to come. Things can change, but you want to keep that momentum going. You want to keep winning. You want to get through in the cups, and then we want to keep winning in the leagues. Are we overperforming? Is he getting the best out of them? I don't know. I think there's room for improvement. I think, Martin said that as well, hasn't he? He said about standards, they're better, but we're not there yet. I still don't think we've really, really performed at the top of it. We've played really well in spells. We've ground things out. We've been steely. We've defended well. We've battled well, pressed well, got goals when it mattered, shown bits of quality. But I still think these players can play better. I still think some of them are playing really well, but I still think there's others. Jody put in a lovely ball, really good ball, and caused the problems on occasions. But I think Jody's we know what he's capable of. So you say, is he playing at his best? No, he's not, but he's getting better. Nick Cerula, similarly, playing well, but got levels, a bit more in the tank. We know he can play better. And you could go through everybody and just say, I think they've all got another 1 or 2% to give. Jatta played brilliantly well at the weekend, but first half, defensively brilliant. But didn't really do much going forward, didn't get the service as well. So, but there's always things to improve, and you can nitpick on anything and everything. So, is he getting the most out of them, or are they overperforming? I don't think they're overperforming, because I think that's slightly derogatory to the players to say, well, fifth in the table is better than we are. I don't think fifth in the table is that's where we deserve to be at, based on what's gone before. Have they got more to give? Yeah, I think so. Are they giving everything in terms of effort and application? Absolutely. That's not in question. But I think in terms of quality, I think we've still got a bit more to go. But Martin, I think that's not really saying anything different to what Martin Patterson says in his post game.
Every team has lost 3 games so far this season in League Two. every team has also won 3 games. Quite a few of the bottom teams have started picking points up the last couple of weeks. I mean, that would tend to suggest, excuse me, blanket finish. Of those clubs, some will clearly go relatively big in January. Is that January transfer window potentially very important for Notts as far as you're concerned, Stow?
Yeah,
Because
of course it
in
is.
the last
Yeah.
2, I think, and we steadfastly can't judge till the end of the season, but I think if you looked at our first 2 transfer windows in the Football League, I would say both were not good. Some teams maximised it. Clearly, Doncaster last season were an example of that, and Bradford. Do you think we need a strong January window?
Yes, I mean, of course, it's important. It's important for every club, and there's no way Notts will have the budget to match some of the bigger hitters in the. We're thinking MK Dons, aren't we?
Yeah.
And teams like that that can go. They've got a bigger, much bigger playing budget than we have.
But we are
Um,
one of the top 2 biggest supported clubs in this division.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. But again, we know the model of the club, the sustainability, the fact of the value for money they look for in players. So again, there's always seems to be money in the budget to bring players in, but only the right players or what they deem the right players. Again, we can look back and go, yeah, we have had questionable January transfer windows. So, but that's not by design, is it? That can happen
No.
whether you sign a player in January or the end of the season, whether they're hit or miss. And again, said the starting 11 on Saturday, there's only 2 players that have been brought in the summer. So you could question recruitment there a little bit, going, well, it's still largely the same
Yes.
team of players that were here last
Yeah.
season. But it is vital, of course, it is because you just never know in terms of injuries, suspensions, form. Look, and also who's going to come poaching again? You for your Jatters or players like that, they're in the window. You just don't know, do you? You don't know what happens when clubs with more money come a calling, and you've got agents, scurrying around in the background, maybe looking for moves for players. So it is always vital. These transfer windows become more, vital than when the window was open till what was it, March or whatever it was in years gone by. So absolutely, it's like it's all sort of magnified into a shorter space of time, and dependent on injuries, dependent on form, dependent on where we are in the table. I'm sure all them factors will dictate how active or inactive we are in the January transfer window. But you do feel if we're up there in the mix, you do feel that the brothers will make money available in terms of, even if it's just in terms of contracts for players to be brought in. And if Martin and Richard Montague now identify areas they need to strengthen and players that can do that, then I'm sure that the means will be given to bring them players in. Of course, there might also be players that have to go the other way out. And
Yeah.
I've said right from the start of this season, I think we've got a big squad, bigger than is necessary, probably bigger than Martin wants as well. But it's not easy to get players out who are on contract. So yeah, I think there's a bit of wheeling and dealing to be done, but absolutely it's vital. Nowadays every transfer window is vital, and particularly if you want to be up the sharp end at the top end of any division, a bit of business, a good bit of business for 1 or 2 players in
Mm.
January can make the difference between automatic playoffs and missing out, and that goes for every club that's going to be involved in them that fight for them places.
Yeah, Derek Flowers is under no illusions. He says the January window makes or breaks our season. Speculation. I think it was due to have been announced by now, but obviously hasn't. Our former manager, Luke Williams, is the heavy odds on favourite to take over at Peterborough, who are currently in the relegation spots in League One. That would be an interesting one to see whether Luke goes back to Peterborough. Bit of debate about Alessandro leaving. I just like to see him scoring goals, taking his seat in the Kop, and we all love him again now, don't we, Stel? Few goals, you're
Yeah,
centre forward. Job's a good one.
but that's it. Despite the shenanigans or
Yeah,
whatever it was that went off at the close, what
yeah,
he has done brilliantly well, and you cannot criticise him for, is the fact he's got his head down on the pitch and given everything. And that is what fans want. That's all fans can demand. The club pays your wages. You're duty bound to give everything. Your professional pride and personal pride should dictate that anyway. But that's what fans demand. If you want to go and I'm going to say better yourself, but if you get an offer to go and bet yourself, nobody really, as long as you do everything in the right way on the pitch, nobody will ever really hold it against you. Nobody would have a bad word to say about Macaulay Langstaff, let's say, who opted to go and or had the opportunity to jump up a couple of divisions and try himself at a higher level. As long as you give everything when you're on the pitch, wearing the shirt for the team, for the badge, for the fans, for yourself, all that, then of course, fans don't like it when players leave, but you can't really complain too much. And I think he's done brilliantly well. So like I said, I think we pointed. Well, I certainly pointed a little bit of criticism his way when the back spasm came in and his agents, pushing for a move. But in absolutely the other side of that, I've got to give him all the credit in the world for the performances he's sort of put in, the way he's performed. When you get a shirt, you've got to give it your everything. There's nothing wrong with him. If in the back of his head he wants to go and play at higher levels, hopefully he can do that with Notts. Hopefully he can, because he'll score the goals that can maybe get us there. But there's nothing wrong with wanting to progress in your career. But there's also nothing wrong with giving everything while you're wearing the shirt for whatever club it is.
That about wraps it up for us tonight. FA Cup week countdown to kick off at Brackley on Saturday. Don't forget, it's a 5:30 kickoff, I think. As I said, when I checked earlier, there are still tickets available for the game. We've been given 1,000. So the fact it's on telly, I'm sure, will affect some people, clearly. And it's not an ideal kickoff time compared to 3 o'clock, but it is still a Saturday. Safe travels, everyone, to Brackley on Saturday. Thank you to all the flock. Thank you to our official partners, JH Accountants and the Big Shed at the Trent Navigation. Stel, thank you as always. Who's the commentary A team on Saturday? You and Adam again, is it?
Yeah, absolutely. And just the person that asked, and this is talk about a delay on the commentary, wasn't it? There's about a 40-minute delay on the answer to that question, whoever asked it. But I think there's about 30 seconds. I'm told, because obviously I'm one end when I'm doing the commentary, so I don't know. But I have been told by other people when Notts have been on the telly, there's about a 30-second delay. But don't take my word for it. But yes, there's about a 40-minute delay on the answer, but 30 seconds apparently from the TV to the radio. So how you align that up, you need to be more technically minded than me. But yeah, so it's me and Adam on Saturday at Brackley, and hopefully going there to see Notts progress, getting to the second round. Not going to be easy, of course. It's a proper banana skin of an FA Cup tie, but should be good. New ground to go to. I think Adam's been before, believe it or not, because he used to do the commentary for Spennymoor a few years back. So they've been there. He was telling me on the way back from Swindon the other night, he's been there about 3 times. So he knows Brackley like the back of his hand. But I don't know how he's gone on there. I don't know whether they've won, lost, or draw. But either way, we're hoping for a win on Saturday.
Indeed we are. Thank you, one and all. We'll be back later in the week. Friday night show from me. Safe travels to Brackley. Look forward to catching up with you all soon. Cheers for now. Bye-bye.
Cheers.